Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In case you're new here, I'm Kim, this is Core Union. I wanted to talk today about manifesting in general because when you actually make the shift and understand what manifesting actually truly is, it doesn't matter what it is that you are trying to shift and change in your life. It literally works the same, and I know that you guys hear that on every YouTube video that you watch, most likely. But I like to tell real life actual stories of how I deliberately manifested. In other words, I was being conscious in how I was thinking and feeling on a particular subject, whether it involved money, business, health, relationships with different types of relationships with specific people in my life. Okay, so it really is that we are living, it's like we're living in an interactive 3D mirror that feels very real. And I'm not saying that reality isn't real to the point where, and I always have to use this example, if you fall, yes, you are going to get hurt. You can harm yourself, okay? So I know the only reason I say that is because sometimes people make these really outlandish comments, and I don't know if they're watching other YouTube videos when they see things like that. This is like, a simulated game. Then I don't want anybody to think of reality as being something that it doesn't matter, you can't get harmed, like a game, whereas if you harm yourself, you'll somehow come back to life, okay? I had somebody literally comment once and ask, oh, if this is true, then can I bring back a dead cat back to life? Like, when it comes to things like that, that's a little bit way outlandish. I don't care if you want to call it a limiting belief. To me, manifesting is very grounded in reality. It's just that reality isn't what we think that it is. It's really that simple. So all manifesting is that your beliefs, whether you're aware of them or not, are being reflected back to you. So with every single thing that you experience in your life, you can choose, if you feel that it's necessary, you can choose to step back, observe it, and say, okay, this is showing me that something within me is active and that I believe X, Y, and Z because I'm getting triggered by it, because I'm getting a little bit of a fear. That feeling of the fear is literally your higher self communicating with you, saying you are literally, it's like going burn, 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 danger. If you continue on this path, you're going to experience more of that. That simple. You do not have to monitor each and every one of your thoughts. You shouldn't, because that's what gets you guys obsessively thinking and being really anxious and scared of your own thoughts. Instead, just fill your mind with the things that you want. Think of people in your life being lovingly. Think feelingly. Just think of things that would be blissful for you. If this person treated me this way, I would love it. If we connected like this, I would love it. If my health was like this, I would love it. If my bank account was like this, I would love it. If my business was like this, I would love it. If I got hired for this job, it would be amazing. I would love it. And then put yourself in the end of if that already happened. Now that brings me to today's story. This is how important it is. This story should point out how circumstances don't matter, how everyone is you pushed out, the mirror principle of reality, and let's see, how people represent different aspects of you for you to look at so you can heal them within, and how living from the end and thinking from the end and feeling from the end is really key, okay? So I put up a video recently about how I manifested in the beginning stage of my business. I'm not going to go into the whole story now, but I'll link it somewhere up here. The video will be there. Basically, it's when I was really learning how to manifest and leverage this whole understanding. But I should say when I was learning how to consciously create or deliberately manifest instead of just kind of going on autopilot and allowing life to take me here and there and all of my feelings to consume me. Okay, you'll have to watch that video if you want, but now I'm taking this story to where I had the retail store that I manifested in that video. This is fast forwarding, projecting a couple years ahead. I decided to open a second location in another city. That business was really, really, really good. And that particular market for a retailer was hard to get a store location. I will link another video up here of how I manifested the literal #1 prime location spot for any retailer, and I'll put up a video here of how I manifested that because that was pretty magical. But for today's video, I had 2 store locations now. I had a lot of limiting beliefs and fears around hiring people to be responsible for my store, because I knew how I treated people, and I knew that I can literally handle everything, because that is the personification that I saw myself as being. In other words, it was kind of like an alter ego that I developed, which is part of your self-concept, okay? And I'll do a separate video on creating alter egos, because it is key in your self-concept, okay? The store location that I had the employees running was not doing as well as the store location that I was. Part of that was because I had a belief, obviously, of the businesses in the areas too and in the city. But what was happening was, now I didn't have any sales experience, okay? I hired people who had many, many years of sales experience, many, many years on top of me with sales experience. So what I was seeing was there was a pattern that the store that I was managing, I was literally selling sofas, chairs, beds, dining tables, like that. And that customers understood the wait time could be anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks. And it wasn't an issue at all. Why? Because I never saw it as being an issue. Why? Because I always went into the end of always seeing either us laughing and having a ball and that we closed the deal, or when I went further into the future of just seeing them really happy and seeing their room in my mind's eye, seeing their room beautiful with my furniture in it, and seeing them write a 5-star review, which I ended up having solid 5-star Google reviews and like an amazing social media following, because this is how I saw things. I always projected out into the end. And then, everything happens how it needs to in the middle. I just trust it. I was closing sales left and right, and I kept getting this feedback, okay, because it's just feedback, that the employee, I think her name also actually was Kim, she wasn't doing well at all. And the feedback, when I would ask her, and I knew when I asked her I was going to get the feedback I needed to be able to change it, by the way. I wasn't going to get sucked into a problem in the 3D. I asked her, what's going on? Tell me what you're experiencing. Why do you believe that you're not able to close the sales? And it was very simple. And she told me, because nobody wants to wait for the lead time. I said, okay, awesome. I said, do you know why nobody wants to wait? And she said, why? I said, because you're focusing on that, and you're focusing on hoping that you can change their mind. You're trying to sell to them, and it's like you're living from the end of having to try to figure out how to sell to them and how to get past this. But this is not where you want your focus to be. You want your focus to be that the customers are happy 8 to 12 weeks later. They're super happy. They're writing an amazing review about the store, of how happy they are, how much they love their furniture in their home. That is the end, because what you're doing right now is you're trying to figure out, what do I need to say or do to overcome their objection of the 8 to 12 week lead time? So stop and just focus on the end. And what happened was the sales improved. It was like really that easy. Now, when I stepped back from that, there were a lot of circumstances. It was also a perfect reflection. She was basically the little aspect of me that was afraid of having that store location in the hands of another person other than me. The fear that I had about sales not being as good because I wasn't there to close the sale, okay? So when I told her that, and then I went into my end of seeing the sales, seeing her do much better and seeing the sales close. And then I was imagining the end. So I just took that as feedback. I didn't think things like, that this was a problem, or I didn't get worried or afraid of it, because this literally shows you how circumstances don't matter. The circumstance of me being in a second location and allowing and trusting employees that weren't doing well to handle it and then to get better, that circumstance didn't matter. The circumstance of the employee not being able to close the sales didn't matter. I didn't have to go through a lot of training with her. I literally just basically did what I did and explained to her, shift your thinking, right? Everyone is you pushed out. She was just reflecting an aspect of me that was in fear around having 2 locations and entrusting employees that can't sell as good as me. And another thing I mentioned to her was, you have more sales experience than I have. You can do this, right? And so I was like literally reminding her, hey, I don't have any sales experience. I never worked in a store in my life. You have years and years and years of sales experience. So get out of your own way and just focus on the end, and that's it. Okay, so perfect example of living in the end, of how everything will take care of itself and things like that. This applies to everything. It's not specifically around business, it's not specifically around money. Again, it is circumstances don't matter, live in your end, and everyone is you pushed out, okay? I love you guys so much. If you want coaching, link is in the description as always. Comment down below, and I'll talk to you guys soon. I love you. Bye.
Nothing can come, nothing can come, nothing can come between us.